Okay, so it's about 8:30 and we are going to hop across to Menorca because the wind is just kind of coming from the southeast, so it's just enough to sail across. It's only about 30 miles and we don't really want to motor that.
You and me, we're family. The bond that we share is as deep as the sea. No matter how rough things may come to be, you and me, we're family. Sing ho, hey, long for the...
So we're just leaving the last point on the west side of Menorca. We're going to motor up to the end of it and then we're going to sail across hopefully and explore Menorca. Here we go. So we're finally leaving Mallorca and heading over to Menorca. Me and Ewan are up here on deck and we're playing games. We've got some music on and we're going 2 knots, our favourite speed. So we're going to play Top Trumps. This is a game and it's about bugs.
Don't tell Mum this card!
So just going to say goodbye to Mallorca for a while. Right, so we're just approaching Menorca, up there, 10 miles. So when we finally got across to Menorca, we stayed the first night on the northeast coast. It's one of those places where it's surrounded by cliff, so you can't really get on land, but there's lots to see in the actual bay, as you will see. We found the most amazing cave that you can swim into, and there was all sorts of things living inside that cave. It's amazing how camouflaged the octopus is. It looks like it's a rock kind of stuck on the side of the wall. Doesn't look like an octopus at all. As you probably realise, sailing's all about the weather, so we checked the forecast and we could see there was some strong northeasterlies coming. So we decided to move round to one of the very few bays in the north coast where you can get a bit of shelter from the northeast winds. We were obviously not the only ones with that idea.
So there's an Italian boat. We're just anchored and they're very close to our boat, so we're worried if they bash into us.
So soon after that we arrived, our good friends on Windpel joined us. We'd also been on lockdown with them in Almerimar, so obviously we didn't see much of them, but we kind of shared that experience. I expect everyone remembers where they've been for lockdown. It's one of those things I think you'll never forget. So when the northeast winds did come, a lot of the boats left, which is always a bit worrying because you kind of wonder what they know and you don't. I think the swell that followed probably explains it. So even though this bay was kind of, there was an area where you could hook inside, the swell just for some reason just bounced across and the rest of the bay and came right in.
Everybody's schooling on the beach. There's a lot of swell on the boat today, so we're trying to stay on the beach as much as possible.
When there's that much swell, you just make arrangements and do a lot of things on shore. Where are we going?
We're going up this big mountain.
So we made it to the top.
So we went for a really big walk up this mountain, and we saw it 2 days ago, and it looked really interesting.
It was a bit long. It was shorter than we thought. We have to walk across there and then up there, and there was lots of wildlife.
So that is an Egyptian vulture there.
And Rowan got cut, and it was cool.
Pretty far, because then you would die at around 40 or 50.
I don't think there's many times in human history where it was.
There's a bunch of turtles down there.
You can see 3 ducks. We called them the Greta 3s.
Greta 1, 2 and 3.
Yeah, Greta 1, 2 and 3. We've got Mini Turtle over there, and we've got a Mummy Turtle, well, basically abandoned her child. So we haven't named the baby or the big turtle yet, but we might name them, won't we? Oh yeah, and also the ducks are eating wasps.
And those are dragonflies, like about
That big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't realise Menorca is quite famous for its wildlife because of the different environment to the rest of the Balearics. And this morning I saw a vulture fly overhead, and I thought I was kind of imagining it, but when I looked it up, they actually do have Egyptian vultures here, and booted eagles, and also red kites, which are quite rare. So we've just seen some over there. We think that we're not quite sure what they are, but it's definitely some sort of raptor, and we're going to check it out.
Bonjour, mon ami. The sweetest thing to hit the
There's the hill we walked up today. We're just at that peak, just up there.
And Marina has just brought dinner is served.
Okay, we have to show dinner.
Yeah, show the dinner.
Noodle salad?
Ta-da-da-da!
Whoa, nice.
I presented like I made it, huh?
Yeah, I know, but actually the cook is there.
And the cook brought
Hi, dinner.
It's like money in the bank. Bonjour, mon ami. Would you give me back my joie de vivre and let me bid?
Yesterday we were on Oppie, and we were on a rock that was in the middle of, well, almost in the middle of this bay, and I was just sailing, and then I saw it up ahead. Like, I saw all these other rocks. They were deeper, and I could have ran aground. You can see waves crashing on it right now, actually, and I couldn't turn in time, so I let go of the sail, and I just slowed down right next to it. Then I was drifting on the edge of the rock, and I could just see it right there. So then I had to call for the dinghy to come and tow me away.
So we just arrived at this cool bay. It's another bay. So, how do you feel when you nearly capsized?
Well, it was pretty scary, really. There's a few gusts that you have to be, and that's very dangerous. I think that's one of the most important things about sailing, and being careful with the gusts.
How do you feel like when you nearly ran aground?
Luckily, we saved the keel in time.
How do you feel when you dived and nearly wiped out 3 people on a paddleboard?
Well, yes, the boats sometimes with big gusts, like I said, it's pretty hard to control. Luckily they jumped away just in time, but yeah, things like that can get a bit dramatic.
So after the strong northerlies, we were ready to move on to the next bay on the north coast. It's very strange because the sand changed colour as we're moving around. So from the white sand, it now came to a kind of red sand. And later on, as we go around the island, it turns to more of a black sand. But this bay, I don't think is just famous for the sand. I think it's actually the sunsets. It looked like people came from far and wide to witness these sunsets. So we're just passing through a very narrow channel in the north of Menorca, and you have to stay dead centre because there's lots of rocks just beneath the surface on either side. The boys are helping me navigate.
The small number is slightly lower than the other one, makes a point. So that's 4 points.
So all of the X's are rocks.
We're going straight into one.
No, that's to show that it's a nature reserve. It's a little picture of a duck.
119 metres, 10 metres.
Just in front of this boat, I think. We've been travelling around the north of Menorca, which is a lot more kind of isolated, I would say. And there's a lot of national park along this area. Inland, and also there's a marine reserve that we had to kind of pass through. So the marine reserve is kind of separated into segments where you can't fish, you can't anchor, and then we're just on the edge of it now on the other side of it. But it's been quite nice actually. Yeah, seeing some remote parts of Menorca. It's a lot more barren here because it's so exposed. I mean, the wind comes down through the Gulf of Leon. It really just hammers this island. So yeah, it's got a whole different kind of ecosystem. But then you find these valleys where there is a bit of greenery, there's a lot of pine forest, and they really are trying to look after their sand dunes as well. They've got lots of paths carefully made out with cordoned off, so you can't get onto the sand dunes and only walk on these paths. So it allows the sand dunes to regenerate, and we've seen that a lot around the Balearic Islands, which is it's really good to see that they're really taking care of that. So yeah, we're here. Over there you can see our boats, and we're travelling with Wind Pearl at the moment, which is extra nice. They've got 2 little girls, and we're all doing things together, which is just, it's a nice stuff, having a little mini community.
We've got some more rosemary. It was very hard to get off.
So having sailed from mainland Spain, we've sailed through Formentura, Ibiza, Mallorca, and now we're on the northern tip of Menorca. And the take home from all of this is that I think in the towns and the cities, the people are definitely adhering to the mask wearing rules. Not 100%, but sort of 90%. The restaurants are quite empty, the shops are quite empty, and it's really sad to see.
Tourism is definitely on the downturn this year, probably most places, and we've noticed it in the Balearics.
Since we've kind of got away from the urban centres and to the undercliffs and the beaches, to nobody's wearing any masks. I mean, legally they're not obliged to do so.
There is still quite a lot of people on the beaches. They're kind of social distancing, but it seems like most of them are Spanish. I always hear Spanish voices, very rarely a foreign voice. So it is Spanish really out enjoying their own islands.
I love this, it's like some sort of hippie music festival, it's like Glastonbury on the water.
So this is the first place we've come to since Mallorca that we've been able to get some fresh produce. I mean, you get these small little shops, there's not much in them.
Okay, so we've just taken the paddleboard to the beach and now we're off to find a shop. We've seen a couple on Google Maps.
Supermarkets. This way.
Doesn't look very open.
No.
So this is another typical example of what's happening in the Balearics at the moment. Is because it's all tourism dependent, or a lot of it is. You look up on Google Maps for the nearest supermarket at your anchorage, you walk a couple of miles and everything's locked off, even though on Google Maps it says it's open. So it's even more challenging, I think, to find supplies at the moment.
Uh-oh. What's Woody found?
Pallets. I think it's another example of one man's trash is another man's treasure, because they've got some pallets next to the bins here ready to throw out. And the villa right next door, they've got some beautiful pallet furniture there that just fits the setting so beautifully. You know, so you can turn that into designer furniture within a few hours' work.
We found the shop and we found a quicker route back. It's always a walk and always a search and a hunt. Now the next challenge is to get the shopping onto the paddleboard, and then we've got to walk it out because we're not allowed to paddle in the swimming zone, and we've got to get back to the boat without the shopping falling off. The paddleboard's down in the corner down there, and we've got to get it out to where all those paddleboards and dinghies are. That's where we've got to get the paddleboard out to before we can start actually paddling. So we'll just probably walk it out or swim out.
How's it going?
So this is a really handy having a paddleboard on your boat, because you can kind of go into beaches where engines aren't allowed, as they shouldn't be. You can go in on a paddleboard. The only problem with our paddleboard is that it's got a slow leak here. So we have to keep pumping it up every few days. We're thinking about getting one for the kids as well, maybe a smaller one, that they can be more independent and they can get to each other's boats and stuff like that. But we're not sure what mate to get yet. Paddleboard isn't even a luxury really, because it's independence, it's a method of transport.
Shopping delivery service.
And this is all our shopping, so yeah. This is your Tesco delivery service.
So what have you been doing?
Shopping.
Go back to the shopping.
What's your shopping delivery? What have you been doing? Yeah, so the fact that they are protecting the marine world around here means that we've noticed a lot of wildlife. Seeing quite a few stingrays, small ones, and here there's a slightly larger one. We saw some barracuda here. Apparently there's a lot of seahorse, but we haven't seen them yet.
Today we're at Cala Priscilli, which is on the northeast side of Menorca, and even though we've come several miles around the north and the northeast coast, there's hardly any buildings. It's so undeveloped around here, we had no idea. So it's definitely been worth the trip. And all around this coast is national park, all protected, well, looks like moorland, but it's not moorland, it's all kind of sort of Mediterranean plants. And it's pretty spectacular actually, apart from the lack of Wi-Fi, which we're all suffering from at the moment.
So the other downside of being more remote and isolated is that we didn't have any 4G, so we had to all cope with that. We walked to the end where the lighthouse is and left the boys on the beach, although Woody's gone back because I think it was a bit too long to leave them. And yeah, it's funny day today, it's a bit grey, but it's really interesting kind of terrain here. So yeah, really worth the walk.
Provided the perfect play pit with sticks and loads of flat stones and a sort of Minecrafty type landscape. The water this morning is glass clear. That's about 6 meters, 7 meters down, and we can see the anchor as clear as day. we're just taking the snubber off. Oh, Ewan's taking the snubber off.
So you've got the two boys up there on the anchor, and we've got Rowan who's doing the engine and driving us out of it.
Keep your fingers away.
Okay. The snubber off. I'm driving us out of here.
There's so much to share about Menorca. It's such an amazing place. So I'm going to have to do this in the next vlog. So I hope you're enjoying it, and please do watch the next episode where we're going to talk about Mahon, which is an amazing city in itself, and some of the south coast of Menorca.
Tortilla.
Tortilla.
Dad's gone off on one of those tantrums again.
Trying to fill the anchor, okay, but the boat is going way too fast and I can't actually film it.
Maybe we should just leave Dad behind in the anchorage. Like, I'm sure someone will pick him up.
He's a bit grumpy. We're not sure whether we're even going to pick him up today. Should we let him on board?
No, I don't think it's so fatty. Get away.
There's a mutiny. You realise that, Woody? There's a mutiny. Should we give him his HP and send him off? Thanks for watching, and especially thanks to our patrons who make these videos possible. If you would like to contribute towards the creation of these videos, then follow the description in the link below. So we would really love to hear from you. If you want to leave comments, you can go to the Facebook page, Instagram, or even the Patreon page and leave comments there. And don't forget to subscribe.
And if you want to do it, do it.
Right.